What's going on YouTube? This is Ribo back at the bench today, and this time I've got another cutter carry knife review. Today looking at the Chris Reeve knives Umnumzaan. So I was able to pick up one of these recently. They are somewhat hard to find, but was able to snag this one. And so I've been carrying it, been using it, been thinking about it quite a bit. So I thought I would share some thoughts. A couple quick notes. So first of all, had some good lighting in the shop today, and so I don't have any of the camera lights on, and so I hope that it comes across. You'll see more of a raking light from left to right and probably some more shadows, but we'll see how it turns out. It was kind of nice out here, and I love natural light, so apologies ahead of time if the lighting is not great. This is the drop point version of the Umnumzaan. There are at least two versions. There's the drop point, the Tanto, and I think that's it. And so this is the drop point version. S35 VN, titanium handles. You have the classic Chris Reeve pocket knives clip over there. You have that nice CRK logo. And that's about it. I guess if you're not familiar with this knife, a couple quirks to it. So this is kind of the tactical folder of the Chris Reeve folding knives lineup. Not exactly, but more or less. It's kind of beefier, bigger slabs, bigger blade, slightly larger knife. I'll do size comparisons in 1 second. It's not quite a plain Jane. It's not quite an inlay version. You've got a crosshatch going on there, which is kind of cool on both sides. You have this Chris Reeve logo there that serves kind of as an over travel stop. You have the 31. It's not the 31 Sabenza lock, but you've got the ceramic ball lock that is used on the 31 Sabenza. And then you've got O-rings that are used on these pins. And these are used as thumb studs, but also as the oh my goodness, I'm blanking. Anyway, the knife rests against there and it kind of locks it in place. I'm sounding like an idiot right now, not being able to remember what those are called. But anyway, you have O-rings around those, and that serves to kind of quiet and really soften the contact between the scale and the thumb stud there. You can use the knife without the O-ring, but it does add a nice little, I don't know, just a nice soft kind of close and lock up to the knife, especially combined with the lock. Anyway, I'm talking way too much about this knife before we get into the review. Let me do quick size comparisons and then we'll get into it. So this is the PM2, another fairly large knife. You can see Umnumzaan is a hair bigger, so a very large knife. I'll bring out the large 21 in Singo micarta version. I will bring out the small 31 just so you have an idea. And then really just for fun, not because it applies at all, but because I got it recently and I think it's awesome, bring out the Kaiser Sheepdog full size. So anyway, you can see that the Umnumzaan is a large knife. It's not cold steel large, it's not ridiculous, but it is a big knife. All right, so let's get into things that I like and I dislike about the Umnumzaan. All right, first of all, things that I like. So I won't wax poetic about this, but I love the 31 lock. I love the ceramic ball. I know that there are lock rock issues. I don't care. It doesn't bother me one bit. It is so smooth. I love the lockup. I love the feel of it, the sound of it. I love the disengage. I love the 31 lock. I have it on my small Sabenza. I absolutely love it. This has shown me that I really, really love it. And I kind of want to upgrade my large 21 to a large 31. But I really like that. And so that's really cool. Other things I like plain titanium. I like the handle. I really like the crosshatch, to be honest. Honestly, when I first saw this knife, or a long time ago when I first saw this knife and, have kind of seen it over the years, it never really did it for me visually. I always thought it was really funky. I mean, quirky and like you kind of want to check it out, but, there's something so plain and simple about something like the Sabenza or some of the other knives, but or really something kind of beautiful about the Menandi, or something kind of elegant about it. This was just kind of in a class of itself. It's just kind of this odd duck that it looks beefy, it looks big, but it doesn't. It looks kind of tactical, but not really. It's just weird, right? The lines are weird, but the crosshatch I like. I like the kind of detailing on the crosshatch. I like, looking where the lines intersect if you can kind of think about this being milled out. But I like the utility of it. I think that it does give you some traction that's kind of missing sometimes on the plain Jane Sabenzas. And so I actually really do like the traction and the utility that it gives. And so I like that about it quite a bit. This is a weird thing, but I actually like the lanyard hole placement a lot. I don't know what it is, but I think it just fits. It's kind of a weird thing to say that you like. Obviously, I love the clip. The Chris Reeve clip, at least this clip is one of my favorites, period. Really, this and the Spyderco wire clip, I really enjoy. There are obviously lots of great clips out there, but this one is really fantastic. It doesn't look like much, but it really excels. The only issue I've ever had is that I've bent quite a few of these, just getting them snagged, because this is fairly high. But this clip carries the knife so well, carries it at a really great height, gives you enough room to get a full finger on there, which is a problem I have with a lot of knives. There are a lot of knives that fail at being able to extract from the pocket because the pocket clip comes up too high or whatever. This gives you full clearance to get this out of the pocket. The tension's great. I love this clip. And so that's great. I love the detail of this Chris Reeve logo right here that serves as kind of the over travel stop. I think that looks really cool. Again, it's something different from a lot of their other knives, and so I think that's pretty neat. So definitely cool there. I really like the O-rings. So to be honest, the O-rings were a bit of a turnoff for me when considering purchasing this knife. And that's really just because of added complexity. Like, my opinion of knives over time is, and really of a lot of things, is, my furniture and woodworking, for example, is the least complex machines are often the most dependable. And so I thought there's something really nice about being able to maintain your own knives, being able to take care of things, strip them down and take care of them. And when you introduce something like rubber, like an O-ring, you know that you're gonna have to replace it in the future. And so I'm getting into a little bit of things that I dislike, but all that to say, I get why they used it on the knife, and I really like the result of it. I didn't really understand until I got the knife in hand why you would put an O-ring there, but it makes a lot of sense. And when you combine it with the 31, I always call it the 31. When you combine it with the ceramic ball lock there's a lot of cohesion between the way that these two things feel. It's just very smooth to close the knife. Between that ball engaging right there and not having any metal hit any titanium there, it's really, really smooth, and it's one of those things you can't appreciate it until it's in your hand, but it's really, really nice. And so while I still hold to some of the same beliefs about not wanting, something like that to maintain over the years, the effect is really, really nice, and so that's a good thing. Other things I like, this is very similar to the Sabenzas. I love the jimping. I think the Chris Reeve jimping is just some of the best out there. It's not uncomfortable, but it's practical. It gives you something nice to grab onto, and so I really love the jimping there. Other things, I love this kind of swedge half harpoon up here. This is, I'm sure there's a more proper term for this, but this is really crisp, really nice. Gives a really nice point here, almost a diamond point for piercing and cutting into boxes or doing things like that. Aesthetically, I think that at least from here up, the knife is really, really nice looking. Just lots of nice angles and whatnot. So that's really good. Obviously, the Chris Reeve edges are always great. So it's done just fine there. And other things. So I'll say actually something I really like, and I think I'm in the minority here, but I really like the lock bar and access to the lock bar. A lot of people have complained that it's as difficult to disengage. I've never found that, and I guess I don't know if it's because I just push against with my thumb naturally there. But I find that that's plenty of room to get on the lock bar, and I kind of like this little nail nick indention there. I like the angles over here. This is a funky knife. I would not say it's cohesive in design, at least, to me it's not. But I like it. I really like the access to the lock bar. I wouldn't want more than that, wouldn't want less than that. It's funky, but I kind of like it. So, I may be in the minority there, but I really like the lock bar there. Other things that I like, it's a Chris Reeve. So you have the general quality and feel and whatnot. I've stripped this one down, and just in general, I like the way they're made. I like the quality. I like the materials. Has that Chris Reeve feel, right? And so that's definitely something that I enjoy. I guess lastly, I'll say I like the size. This is very similar to a large 21. I think it's a great size. You don't want to go much bigger than that, but this can pretty much do everything you need. You get all fingers on that. And so you can get a great grip with plenty of room to spare. A great size blade. You've got like 50-50 there. It's just all in all, it's a great size knife. Now this one's a bit beefy and it's a little bit overbuilt, and that's fine. But in general, great size. All right, so those are the things that I like. Now let's get to the things that I dislike. And there are a few things I dislike about this knife. So first of all, general design and kind of quirkiness. There's some of that that's charming. There's some of that that's interesting. But overall, I don't find this to be an attractive knife. It's one of those that I think you would come to love. And a lot of times those kind of quirky designs that are kind of fake ugly, it's like you come to love them more than the pretty stuff. And this one, I'm sure, like if you became a big fan of this knife and it was your go-to, you would come to really enjoy that. I'm not there. I don't love this going on up here. There's a lot of lines, a lot of things, and individually I like a lot of them, like the scalloped edge right here and whatnot. But you throw that in with the crosshatch, and there's a lot going on with this knife. And it just doesn't have that aesthetic beauty that I think something like the Sebenza has. Which is not a big deal. Like who cares what the knife looks like? But that is the first thing I noticed. Is I thought maybe when it showed up, I would kind of get it, and I get it on a deeper level than I did before. But still aesthetically, just not a huge fan of the knife. I mentioned before the O-rings. I still dislike that. Now, I mean, granted, you don't have to use them, but one of the draws to this knife is the fact that you have those O-rings, and not really a draw, but it's one of the defining features of the Umnumzaan, the thing that makes it unique. And I just don't love having to think about needing replacements for those. Again, you can use it without it, but just having to worry about that. It's not a big deal because, again, I think these are a standard size. You can probably find these a lot of places, but I don't know, just one of those complexities I don't love. Other things I don't love, the little glass breaker tip thing over here, which I believe is what that's intended for, if I've read correctly. I don't know. I mean, come on, sure, but whatever. It's kind of, I don't know, again, aesthetically, just doesn't make a lot of sense. You'd almost think it was like a front flipper. It is not. But I just don't think it looks great. I don't ever see myself using that. I mean, I guess that's the whole point, is that, it's there if you need it, and you probably won't. But I don't know. Just kind of weird. Other things about this knife that I don't love. There's one big one, but I'm trying to think of. Let's talk about one other thing, and then we'll get to the thing that's really difficult. So the spine of the blade here is a little bit too thick. When I compare this to my Sebenzas, and actually without even comparing it to the Sebenzas, I noticed this for the first time when cutting up an apple for my son. I had just gotten this knife, and he was asking for a snack, so I was slicing an apple for him. Because apples and peanut butter, excellent combination as a kid or an adult. But I was slicing his apples open, and what I was noticing is that this knife was forming such a wedge that I would get down almost to the bottom of the apple. I would slice all the way down, and then the rest of the apple would break apart. And it was because as the two pieces were coming up, they were being split out too far, and it was cutting the rest. It was just tearing the rest of the apple. It sounds a little crazy to say that, but if you've done that before, you kind of know what I mean. And what that means is that this is just not a great slicer blade. This is, not a food prep knife, which is, again, it's a more tactical knife. But from utility cutting perspective, which, it's my kind of EDC, this just didn't really get the job done. Now, it's a strong blade. It's capable of a lot of things. It can stand up to a lot of things. There are certainly added benefits to having a thicker spine and things that you want to do, but you can't really, not that people are really batoning, but you can't really beat this up too much because you've got this kind of weird stuff going on up here. And all in all, I was just a little bit disappointed with the different tasks that I would try to do with this because it was just a little bit too thick back here. Cardboard, you can kind of see that to some degree, not as dramatically as you can on the on something like food. But that was a little bit disappointing to me. It was definitely, I'd just gotten the knife. It was definitely, kind of an immediate downer, I guess. So yeah. And then the other thing, and really the final thing and the biggest thing that I dislike about this knife, and it's certainly the thing that is most complained about, opening the knife. Now, I had heard a lot about difficulty opening the Umnumzaan. I knew that it was going to be a challenge. I knew that you just have to learn it and then it just becomes second nature and it'd be fine. However, when I first got the knife, I couldn't open it, period. I could not get the knife open. 2 hands, 1 hand, didn't matter. I couldn't get it open. And it took me a little bit, and I finally, figured it out and practiced and learned, and then, it did become easier, but it never became enjoyable. And, I've made this complaint about like the thumb stud on the 31, and I've kind of figured out how to do that without tearing up my finger too much. And it's fairly dependable. But with the Umnumzaan here, while I can predictably, reliably open the knife and repeatedly, which of course on camera is probably gonna be hard to do, but I can slow roll it like that. I can, of course I'm kind of bringing my arm in at an ankle. I can flick it open like that. None of those are particularly comfortable. And I'm still having to think about it too much. And I don't exactly know why. I don't know if it's a thumb stud placement or whatever, but you've got to place it far enough back so you can make contact. And anyway, I'm not a knife designer. I don't know really what I'm talking about, but to me, this is a very difficult placement for the thumb stud. You're making contact there. There's not a lot of room. And I know you want to push up with this knife, but I've just personally struggled way too much with this knife. Now I can reliably open it and it's fine, and it opens up very smoothly, but it's still, for whatever reason, even weeks after owning this knife, it is still the thing that I look at this knife and just kind of go, ugh, do I really want to pick that up and fool with it? And like, I would learn to do it. I would learn to it would become second nature. I get that. But it's just still one of those things that bothers me even after weeks of owning the knife. And I don't love that. I've reached the point where I just don't want to fool with it. It is a cool knife in a lot of ways. It's really smooth. It's different. It's neat. I'm glad I got to check it. But cut or carry for me, this is gonna be a cut. And I'm shocked. I really expected that I was gonna get that and just love it, but I just haven't, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Different knives for different people. I know a lot of people love this knife, and I get it. It's a neat knife. There are things like to love about it, and I can totally see why somebody would like it. But for me, it just doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it from a practical standpoint. It's no problem carrying it, but have issues with the way that it slices, have issues with the way that it opens. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to carry it. And so I'd much rather put this money to good use and trade up to something else that I'd carry. So for me, it's going to be a cut, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts below. Also interested in how the lighting turned out. So if you have any thoughts on that, this is really only something I can do if I'm recording in the daylight, but I tend to like natural light, so I'm interested to see how you liked it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.